Okay, lads, let's focus on a big Merseyside derby coming up this weekend as the Premier League returns from the international break. Liverpool against Everton. Both teams seem to be heading in the right direction, right? Nick Mendola this season, I think, is a step forward for them. Liverpool struggled at times last season. Yes, defensively, still a few issues, but they look like they're going well. And obviously, Everton, that was huge for them to get that win against Bournemouth before the international break. And I think they probably haven't got the points on the board that their performances deserve so far this season. And again, injuries and players coming back to full fitness has been big for the Toffees. So what are you looking forward to in this big game at Anfield? Always a big game, right, when these two clash.
Yeah, it's a swing period for Everton. And I'm not trying to say that we should be talking about them more than Liverpool here, because Liverpool still have title hopes, but Liverpool looks like more themselves. They're winning set pieces. They're controlling the play and open play. They're a little bit fun because they're wide open, but we know that's Jurgen Klopp style. Everton has played a forgiving schedule and lost 5 of those games, and the performances have been good. But this is where things get tricky for Sean Dyche, because we can all acknowledge that the performances have been good. It doesn't really matter if you're in a relegation scrap again. And to start with a derby here, to even get a point at Anfield, I would go as far as say to lose 2-1, but push Liverpool all the way, will tell us so much about his project. For this to be what it could be, what it really could be, with Mo Salah in form and Szoboszlai looking so good, if this is a 3-1 comfortable or worse, something like that, or 2-0 where they never even threaten Liverpool, I think there's just a lot more on this, even being at Anfield, for Sean Dyche's project than it is for the Jurgen Klopp rebuild. I mean, that probably sounds obvious, but I want to underline it, italicize it, and bold it.
Yeah, that's fair enough, right? I think Andy as well. We look at Everton. There's some really interesting stats that came out from Opta over the international break, and it said, expected position against their actual position. Everton are actually expected to be 5th in the Premier League given their start to the season, but they sit in 16th. So again, take all this stuff with a pinch of salt. But I just thought that really stood out to me, that the games I've seen them play, especially at home, they've dominated teams in and around them and just been a bit unlucky with opportunities they haven't taken, and other teams have hit them on the counter. But this will be a different game, right? This will really test that defensive nous that they do have and did have before Sean Dyche arrived, and he should make that better in theory, the way he sets them up. What kind of challenge do you think Liverpool will pose Everton here? Because Nick talked about it there. Midfield, the balance has been a bit off. They're wide open defensively. They're making some big mistakes, but some of the big players, the likes of Alisson, Salah, and Szoboszlai has been excellent to start his career at Liverpool, have been excellent, haven't they? So it's just a kind of a mixed bag for Liverpool, but the fact that they're there right at the top of the table, even with all these new players coming in and maybe not being at their best, it's pretty good showing for the start of the season.
Yeah, it is. It's probably slightly better than I think we would have expected right from the start, given how much of not a full transition period, but there's a lot of kind of changeover and tweaks happening for Liverpool. I'm looking here at their games played so far this season. I would say they've played 4 teams that are going to approach playing them in a similar way that Everton will do this weekend. Got Bournemouth early in the season, a 3-1 win. Got Villa a couple weeks later, a 3-0 win. West Ham with a 3-1 win. And then more recently, they had a 3-1 win over Wolves as well. And so teams that are going to sit back and look to defend first and try and do most of their damage on the counter has historically, or at least in the last couple of years, been a bit of a problem for Liverpool, because they would overextend themselves just a little bit too much. But I think now, with having some more of those kind of technicians there in the midfield, they're not giving the ball away quite as cheaply as they have in the past. And that was a big problem, because it would really expose Virgil van Dijk, and whether it was Ibrahima Konate or Joel Matip at center back, they were facing 2 and 3 players in the open field with too much space to defend. So they're not having that issue so far this season. And I think the other side of that is they're able to break teams down just a little bit more when they sit in. They don't have to push everybody forward into attack to overload areas to create scoring chances. They've got some players who have some real creativity, especially in the midfield. And all due respect to Fabinho and Jordan Henderson, and even going back to Gini Wijnaldum, they didn't have that quite for a large period of Klopp's tenure. And so it's a very different team. And I just think we've not seen anywhere near the best of what they can look like either. And I know they've only picked up 1 point in their last 2 games in the Premier League, but the progression, I think, is really easy to see from this team, especially, again, so early in the season.
It's a really great point there, because I think, when we focus on Alexis McAllister, maybe a lot of people say that the mistake he made against Brighton last time out, and just the struggles. But he's been asked to play a bit of an unfamiliar role for him, a bit deeper. But like you said, Andy, it kind of, the good outweighs the bad, right? In terms of some of the defensive work might not be as good and shielding the back four. But Klopp is looking at it probably, like you said, to give them more attacking impetus. And when you look that way, Nick, I mean, Luis Diaz coming back in, Gakpo, Jota, Salah, Nunez. Most of those players are in a really good form to start the season and amongst the goals and assists. So it's certainly fun watching Liverpool. And I just think that this is going to be tough for Everton. This is really going to be tough.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Their record is horrendous. I was looking back through this just against Liverpool generally. How many wins do you think they have in their last 28 games against Liverpool in all competitions?
1, 2?
1. 1 is the answer. So wow. That's pretty bad. And I don't know, guys.
That's all I have to say is, even when you think they're going to get something, Divock Origi.
Oh, exactly right. It's kind of come back to bite them, but I can't see him getting a win at Anfield this weekend, Andy. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for Liverpool. I think they're still susceptible defensively, but too good going forward for Everton to handle. What are you going with?
Yeah, I have the exact same on the unofficial predictions post over on PST. It was Everton's best performance of the season and best result of the season last time out against Bournemouth. But Liverpool at Anfield, it's just a whole other level of test.
It really is, right, Nick? I know you're a big Sean Dyche guy, and
they're still not scoring, Joe. And not 9 goals this year. And you let's face it, you're not going to win a lot of 1-0s against Liverpool. So I'm going to go 2-1 because derbies are always closer than they should be. And I'll say this, I don't know if you agree with me. Man City is the most dangerous team in the Premier League, but in terms of the most dangerous attack, the most dangerous trident, the most, I don't want this team coming at me in waves, it might still be Liverpool.
When they get hot, right, they can just absolutely destroy and score 4 or 5.
They always think they're going to score. The belief is sky high. The belief is always there with them.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I think, it's difficult to look past as well for me. I think it'll be tighter than the scoreline. I've gone for a 3-1, but I just think it'll be really tight because it's the first game, lunchtime kickoff, a derby, after the international break. Players, especially Liverpool's case, flying in from all over the world. It's always a weird game, kind of a weird situation. So that plays into it as well. Let's not forget that. But head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest on Liverpool against Everton. We'll have you covered with the Merseyside derby, how to watch it, video highlights, analysis, reaction, and much more. This is a famous game between 2 bitter rivals. And I'm intrigued to see how it's going to play out, even though it looks like all signs are pointing towards a Liverpool win. Let's see if Everton and Sean Dyche have a little bit of a surprise up their sleeves.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.